Hugh Grant. The name alone conjures up an image, the charming British gentleman with the floppy hair, the witty one-liners, and the irresistible ability to make you laugh, cry, and fall in love in the span of 2 hours. For decades, Grant has been the face of romantic comedies, but his journey to stardom, and his surprising reinventions along the way, reveal a career much more complex than the rom-com heartthrob image that defined him for so long. From small stages in England to international blockbusters, Hugh Grant's story is about timing, reinvention, and resilience. Hugh John Mungo Grant was born on September 9, 1960, in Hammersmith, London. He grew up in a middle-class family, the younger of 2 sons. His father was an officer in the Seaforth Highlanders before moving into business, while his mother worked as a schoolteacher and ran a fabric shop. It was an ordinary upbringing, but Grant's wit and intelligence were apparent early on. He earned a scholarship to Latimer Upper School and later went on to study English literature at New College, Oxford. At Oxford, acting wasn't originally his plan. He thought he'd become a writer or an art historian. But a chance involvement in the Oxford University Dramatic Society introduced him to performance. And from there, a new passion began to take shape. Grant quickly showed promise as a performer, joining a comedy troupe called the Jockeys of Norfolk after university. His timing, his gift for delivery, and his ability to turn awkwardness into comedy made him stand out. In 1982, he made his film debut in Privileged, a student production. While it didn't launch him into stardom, it gave him his first taste of film acting and confirmed what he was capable of. The next several years were spent taking whatever work came his way. He appeared in television shows like The Detective and The Last Place on Earth, and picked up theatre work with companies like the Oxford Playhouse and Nottingham Playhouse. These roles didn't pay much, but they gave him valuable experience. The turning point came in 1994 with a film that no one expected would change everything, For Weddings and a Funeral. Directed by Mike Newell and written by Richard Curtis, the low-budget British romantic comedy became a global phenomenon, grossing over $240 million worldwide. Grant starred as Charles, the bumbling yet lovable bachelor at the heart of the story. And his performance defined what would become his signature style, self-deprecating, stammering, witty, and utterly charming. The film was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and Grant won a Golden Globe for Best Actor. Practically overnight, he went from struggling actor to international star. What followed was a string of romantic comedies that cemented Grant as the king of the genre. In Notting Hill, 1999, opposite Julia Roberts, he played a humble London bookstore owner who falls in love with a Hollywood actress. The chemistry was undeniable, and the film became one of the defining rom-coms of its era. In Bridget Jones's Diary, 2001, Grant leaned into his darker side, playing the rakish and womanizing Daniel Cleaver. Audiences loved it, and it showed that Grant could play more than just the sweet everyman. And of course, there was Love Actually, 2003. Where the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom delivered one of the most memorable dance scenes in rom-com history. Grant's films were not just commercially successful, they also defined a generation of romantic storytelling. His characters embodied a blend of awkward vulnerability and sharp humor that audiences found irresistible. But with that success came challenges. In 1995, at the peak of his fame, Grant was arrested in Los Angeles for lewd conduct with a sex worker. The incident made global headlines and many thought it would end his career. But Grant handled the scandal with surprising humility. He didn't make excuses. He publicly apologized, took responsibility, and managed to move on. To the surprise of many, audiences forgave him, and his career continued. By the mid-2000s, however, Grant was facing a different problem: typecasting. After more than a decade of playing similar characters, he grew weary of the rom-com formula. In interviews, he admitted he found them repetitive and uninspiring. So he began looking for roles that would challenge him and shift his career in new directions. One of the first steps in that reinvention was About a Boy, 2002. Based on Nick Hornby's novel, Grant played Will Freeman, a shallow, selfish man who slowly learns to care for others through his unlikely friendship with a young boy. The role showcased a new side of Grant, still funny, but deeper, more complex, but layered with vulnerability. Critics praised his performance, and it remains one of his strongest films. In the years that followed, Grant became more selective. He took breaks from acting, openly admitting he didn't enjoy the grind of the industry. Yet when he did return, he surprised audiences with unexpected choices. In Florence Foster Jenkins, 2016, he starred opposite Meryl Streep, playing the devoted husband of a notoriously bad opera singer. His performance was elegant and nuanced, earning him nominations and critical acclaim. Then came Paddington 2 in 2017, where Grant leaned fully into comedy again, but this time as a flamboyant villain, Phoenix Buchanan. The performance was delightfully over the top, and critics hailed it as one of the highlights of his career. He even earned a BAFTA nomination for it, proving that he wasn't just capable of reinvention, he could thrive in it. In 2020, Grant delivered another career-defining performance in HBO's The Undoing, opposite Nicole Kidman. Playing Jonathan Fraser, a charming doctor whose life unravels after a murder investigation, Grant delivered a chilling, unsettling performance that reminded audiences of his range. It was a far cry from the bumbling bookstore owners and romantic bachelors of his past, and critics called it one of the best performances of his career. The role earned him nominations and solidified his transformation into a serious dramatic actor. While Grant's professional life has been a fascinating story of reinvention, his personal life has also drawn attention. For years, he was known as one of Hollywood's most eligible bachelors. His long-term relationship with actress Elizabeth Hurley was a constant focus of the tabloids. And even after they broke up, the two remained close friends. Eventually, Grant did settle down. In 2018, he married Swedish television producer Anna Eberstein, with whom he has 3 children. In total, Grant is a father of 5. By his own admission, fatherhood transformed him, bringing joy and grounding into his life. In addition to acting and family life, Grant has become increasingly involved in activism. He has used his platform to advocate for political issues, press freedom, and humanitarian causes. His sharp wit, once reserved for rom-coms, has found a new outlet in political commentary, making him a respected voice beyond the screen. Looking at Hugh Grant's career as a whole, what stands out is his resilience. He survived scandal, avoided being permanently typecast, and reinvented himself multiple times in an industry that often resists reinvention. He was the quintessential rom-com leading man of the 90s and early 2000s. But he refused to let that define his entire career. Instead, he took risks, embraced unusual roles, and reminded audiences of his depth as an actor. From the small stages of Oxford to Hollywood blockbusters, from romantic comedies to dramatic thrillers, Hugh Grant's journey has been anything but predictable. He may always be remembered as the charming leading man of Notting Hill and 4 Weddings and a Funeral. But his later work proves he is much more, a versatile, risk-taking actor who continues to surprise audiences decades after his breakthrough. So, what's your favorite Hugh Grant performance? Do you prefer the classic rom-com Hugh with the floppy hair and awkward charm? Or the reinvented Hugh, delivering dramatic depth and comedic villainy in equal measure? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about the stars whose journeys are as fascinating as the roles they play. Because Hugh Grant's story isn't just about romance or comedy, it's about resilience, reinvention, and the ability to transform from a boy with dreams on stage to a man commanding the world's biggest screens.